Stamping A to Z. I'm Linda Gibbs. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Canada, in Edmonton, Alberta. Welcome. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. I stream live every Wednesday at noon. Oops, hang on. I forgot to turn the volume off of the old iPad, and I just realized I don't think I had the volume up on my phone. All right, technology, gotta love it. It's bright here today, but it's snowing. We had like 20 degrees last week. All the snow was melting. It was drying up. And it's been snowing all day today. So back to winter. I guess it's too early. It's only not even the end of March. Anyways, total tangent. Stamping A to Z. So today happens to be the third Wednesday of the month, and last month I decided to try, with the suggestion of some of my card club members, to do a live with the cards that I do use for my club every month. That way they get a preview of the cards being made, and then it's easier. We meet on the third Thursday of the month, so we'll be meeting tomorrow on Zoom, and they have their card kits, so they can kind of wrap their head around what the card's going to look like and what we're doing, and it might just be a little easier, faster if they get a chance to watch my live ahead of time. So hopefully that helps, and it also gives me a recording for them that isn't a visiting recording, because with our Zooms it gets to kind of, it's more of a social gathering than than a teaching moment. So I find it hopefully better to teach the cards on here and maybe give a few more hints. I find if we're kind of starting and stopping, I'm not as good at teaching. So for those of you who are not in club, it's kind of a way that you could go step by step and follow along. You don't even need the products that I necessarily use. You could use anything and just, use the basic template and then add whatever you have. So third Wednesday of the month, I should call it a craft along instead of Stamping A to Z. But yeah, so today I'm going to be I decided to go with, I don't want to say masculine cards, they're just nature cards. So they're kind of more masculine colors, not to say that it isn't perfect for one of your gal nature lover friends. It can be used for anything. It's more kind of just neutral cards. It's not florally and it's not pink, and it's, just a little more neutral, nature driven. I use the Nature's Symphony. I meant to look up the whole, they always, the suite is something else. Nature's Symphony is the bundle. So this is the bundle. There's a stamp set and a die set. Lots of fun dies in there. And then there was some embellishments. They're like little bronze pentagons, sorry. I always want to call them hexagons because I guess that's usually what we have. And then there's the designer series paper, which is lots of fun. You'll get to see that today. And then I can't remember if this was part of the suite or if it was just another product that was available in the mini catalog, but it's the natural hues. There's three. It's kind of like a textured, pulpy kind of paper, like the homemade paper pulp kind of paper. It feels like that, maybe not as rough. So I'm using that today to play with. So for my card club, I send out a kit. It's, I usually send out, I can't remember now if it was 30 or 35. I think it's 35, minimum 30. No, I think it's 35 dollars worth of product. So we come up with a theme, and so I think this month I sent, they all got a pack of the pentagons. They got a half pack of the designer series paper and a half pack of the natural hues paper. So with that, and then they also get the card kits. So there's 3 packages of cards that we make together that I'll be making today. So yeah, that's what comes every month in the kit. If you're interested in joining, we only go till June, and then we'll start again in the fall and September. I usually take the summer off, and everybody's busy, so September or October sometimes, just depends. But if you're interested, let me know. Hi, Linda. Yeah. What else was I gonna say? I've totally lost my train of thought. I had some printed papers. The new annual catalog has gone live for pre-order for demonstrators. If you are not a demonstrator but you want to get in on the pre-order, you can join, and you are able to then purchase the pre-order items right away within your starter kit. The virtual album retreat has been released, so if you're interested in doing, that's coming up in May right away. I think it's in May. I forgot to grab my papers. I'm tempted to go grab them, but what else? I can't think what else. Totally blanked on that. All right, let's just get crafting. The news is the news. You can always check my Instagram or Facebook. I usually post what's going on. And I do try to tell you all the latest, greatest when I'm on here, but I am just like, drawing a blank. We had our garage door, the spring broke yesterday, so I had the guy fixing it this morning. And anyways, let me do the awkward turn around here without making you too seasick, hopefully. My hand in the way as usual. Okay. I hate that that's always there. It's this little knobby thing. Oh no, it's not the knobby. What is showing in the camera? That is so weird. Anyways, you have a little black edge in the camera. Not the end of the world. Oh, except for I am kind of off screen here. Let's move over. Sorry. Okay. I think that gets more of it on camera. And we will get started. So I did add a couple things. So one of the downfalls, not downfalls, but understanding that not everybody necessarily has the full suite or the die and stamp set. I'm not allowed to stamp things for my folks, but I can die cut. So I did some die cutting. It's all in the kit, you'll see. I did pull in the banner sayings because it is the perfect size and has the matching banner punch. So I did use that, but it can be cut out and people can use whatever sayings they have. So like I said, you can use anything. And then since I didn't want to assume that people had this stamp, which creates nice texture backgrounds, I pulled out some rub-ons, which has some texture also, so metallic texture rub-ons. So we can use that so I'm going to use this today as an option. Just trying to, show you all the deviations you can do. So we're going to start with this first card here. And we've got a whole bunch of pieces and parts, and this is how I would send it to everyone. I kept the background for the leaf dies here, sorry, because I'm going to put this back in because this is the texture paper that I was talking about. I think it's the middle one, it's not the lightest, and there's one that's more golden, and then there's this one that's kind of a medium brown. And then I'm going to take some pecan pie and my blending brush, and I'm just going to give it some little bit of, oh, that's too much. Too much, my goodness. But I like that it's in the, it just helps because it's so, not delicate, but it, you know, it has the fine veins and stuff that I feel like I might tear it if I'm trying to do it just on its own, and it's easier to kind of hold down. So we'll have, I might have to darken up some of it with that. Oh no, it's not too dark. And that just gives it even more texture than it already had. So we'll have that, and I forgot to grab a wipe, but I do have a, let's see. Okay, so now we don't need this anymore because we've got our leaves colored. Now I pre-cut these leaves so they can go in the back as is. If you have the stamp set, you can stamp the leaves on. I don't know if it's really necessary. It doesn't. So this is some of the designer series paper. So if you wanted to go with a more green look, you could use the green side, which is more natural. I guess blue leaves are a little more unnatural. But with the texture on the paper, I thought, and then these leaves are going to be on top, it doesn't really need the stamp on it. But that's just an option, so you can see it, like it barely, it shows, but it's really not necessary. Just an extra step. Hi, Yolande. How are you enjoying this lovely snow? I'm done with the snow. I think being stuck inside since December with my foot stuff, I do go out for short walks, but I really haven't been exposed to the majority of winter, and I find it way more, it feels colder, and it just, my tolerance is way down. I think my body has gotten used to the 20 degrees in the house, and that's what it likes. Anyways, I was shoveling this morning because I had the garage guys coming to repair the garage door, and definitely don't need to be shoveling at this time of year, but anyways. So I've got a piece of white, and that is simply for the inside of the card. So for those who want to, actually, was that, I feel like I'm missing a piece. Well, maybe I decided I didn't need it. Oh well. And then I've got a piece of a full-size piece, so a 4 1/4 by 5.5. I feel like I might have given you the wrong measurements, Linda. Hang on here. 4 1/4. Nope, 4. That is correct. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be tearing the top and the bottom. And what you have to decide, so there's one side that has this grid pattern, and the other side has the scripty pattern. So if your front is going to be the script, and you're going to turn these pieces around, you have to decide where you want your white. So when you're tearing, if you tear towards you, the white ends up on the left portion, whereas if I was to tear down, then the white would be on this portion. So you just have to kind of figure out where you want your white to be. And I think there's enough. This side is light enough that you don't really need. However, both of them end up having the white on them. Ugh. I made it go. I don't love that. I might have to give it a bit of a trim. But anyways, and because it's so white with the pecan pie, I just thought it would be nice to add a bit of the pecan pie on here, and we'll just kind of give it a little bit of a distressed look. You're done with the snow, Linda? Have you even experienced snow this year? How can you be done with the snow? You're just done with snow forever. Forever and ever. I have to say, I usually like snow, but the harder, like this year, not being able to be outside and not being able to skate and ski and all those things, it does make winter less enjoyable for sure. I always used to tell people, you got to get out and go enjoy the winter. Otherwise, you're going to hate it. Okay, let's see. So I feel like I'm just going to take some of this edging off. So it's, instead of going up, it's going down. And all I'm going to do, take my glue, and I'm just going to follow this edge so that I know that I'm not putting glue where it doesn't need to be. So we've got that edge there. And then at the bottom, this isn't too bad. I think I'll just a little bit there. And do the same thing again. I really like this designer series paper. Sometimes it's just, everything is so florally and it's beautiful, but it's nice to have some different stuff. All right, so like I said, you could have something that goes this way, but of course you probably want your white showing, or I did it so that it's this way. And then I can just glue this down. Actually, I'll just use my seal here. And oops, let's move that out of the way. It is the full width of the card. So I'll just try and get it lined up. And I feel like if there's, so this is where my glue always comes in handy, because if it's too long, it's repositionable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it so that it's even on the one end. And that way, if it sticks over the edge, it's all over the one side, and then I can just trim it. But it looks like it's pretty good. Okay, and then we just have to put it together. So we can put our leaves here. And then some more, those leaves go on top. And then we've got our piece of wood for the sentiment. And I just happen to like the To a Great Guy sentiment. And I'm going to use early espresso instead of pecan pie. And then it'll match kind of the script. Mostly forever. Never know, it might start snowing in Arizona the way this weather has been so wonky everywhere. So you could cut it and do your own flagging because it is a bit tight. But if you don't mind just being at the edge of the T and the G's, you can pop it out with the banner punch if you have it. And I'm just gonna put that straight down. And we'll pop that up. Now for the leaves, this one is easy enough just to glue down flat. You really don't need a lot of glue. Once it sticks there for good. Okay, and then I like to pop these ones up because otherwise, well, you could use the seal, but the glue will ooze through those lines and stuff. So I just like to take my dimensionals and stick them where they fit. Maybe one down here. And then you could use the smaller ones. You don't have to put them on all the leaves, but you know, a fair number so that it can, but if it's not, it doesn't matter if some of them are down because then it'll kind of give it that fluttery kind of movement look. Yeah, it's a nice, I mean, it's masculine, but to me, I think I could give it to anyone really, except for I wrote to a great guy. So now it's going to be for a guy. And then you can pop it up just where, so I could try and figure out where on here, or I could just put my dimensionals on either side here. And then I can just plunk it down like so. And then we can add our pentagons. I keep wanting to say hexagons. Like, and I like to do the odd number. So either 3 or 5. I tend to do 3. I'm not a big, unless it's just like small kind of sparkly gems going around, sometimes I'll do 5, but this is busy enough that I don't think it needs more. I forgot to put this on the inside. And voila, that is card number 1. You're a 3 gal too, Elon? Thanks. This was actually inspired by Karen Hadler. This is, so I think even last month when I showed the cards, I had done it was a demonstrator class that gave us a bunch of PDF classes, and this was one of her, actually I can't remember if that one was close to hers or not. No, I forget. I changed them up, so I kind of get inspiration from them, and then I keep going. You know, you just kind of get the idea and then kind of create on your own. So for this one, the idea I took, was she had done a crumpled piece of designer series paper, which I kind of crumple it, but I'm not she likes lots of layers and things sticking up everywhere, and to me it was a little too much, so I have my version of it. So if you like lots of texture, you can totally make things pop, but I'll show you my version. So I've got a piece again of designer series paper. You could use either side. I'm using this side, and then we have a piece of thick basic white. Oh, that is something I did want to mention. I meant to make a list and then I forgot, but I went through the new catalog and the old catalog to see where the price increases were going to be. So when the new catalog goes live for customers, which is in May, there's some things that are going to be quite a bit more expensive, such as envelopes. They are going up by like $6 a pack. So if you like, I love the Stampin' Up! Envelopes. I find there's nothing, you're going to cringe. I cringed when I first did this. You want to crumple this up, like crumple it. It hurts your hands almost. Like our paper is so nice and thick. It doesn't like to crumple. But crumple. I make it my own. Yes, I do. So then you've got the crumply. And then what you can do is you can take the pretty peacock. You could just kind of rub it over to get those humps. You could use a brush. You could use a brayer. Whatever option you like best. I don't love the... It's hard if you use the brush because then it goes everywhere, and I'm just trying to get where it's kind of to get those creases. You could use what am I looking for? The sponge dauber. But yeah, it's kind of like when you emboss something, right? And you go over it, and the ridges are the darker area. So, you know, it creates kind of a whole new look. And if you want a more bluey look, less greeny, you can go to town with that. But yeah, you can see wherever there's like, and I think too, wherever you break the paper more, that it kind of, the ink soaks in better. So, you know, if you can really get in there and then, oops, don't tear it. Oops, I did tear it a little bit. And then, yeah, it just picks up that ink a little bit more. So now you've got even more texture to your paper. And now I like it to kind of sit, unless you were popping it up on dimensionals. I find it very difficult to have this kind of layer sitting there. So I prefer, you could use glue, but I do think that if you just take your Stampin' Seal and go across, it'll have a nice, except for when it's wet, it picks up and tears the paper. Oh yeah, yeah, you do that a lot, don't you? The jelly, I keep telling myself I'm going to pull out the jelly plate and play with the inks and see what I can do. And it's in the basement still, where my craft room used to be. So see, even though you think I've flattened it, it's very much not flat. Like it still is quite bumpy and has all that extra ink texture to it. So we have that. Then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to take my cloud cover, which is what I provided, and we're just going to add a bit of texture again, because, you know, plain cardstock. I mean, you could cut this out of more designer series paper, but because my club folk didn't necessarily have the die, I just used paper, and then you can just, I don't even know if you can tell. It's very subtle. You could put more if you wanted more color. Now, the only thing I should have mentioned is to be careful and not get it too much, because we are going to use this as another piece of our background. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go around, and then we'll just kind of glue down these stray pieces. Not that, I mean, they're going to get glued down anyways, but so those are going to be in behind. You won't see it. It's just another piece. Nobody will know that's there. You can put it down and voila. Actually, I think I'll go that way. And then we have our white. And then in our last package, we've got some white leaves. Now we need this piece for our card, and we need these leaves for this card. So if someone wanted to add a bit of texture to these leaves, you could add a bit of the cloud cover here also. You could do it while it's, I wouldn't say do it while it's in here, because we need this to be white unless you want it to have some extra color to it, but that's the white front and center of your next card. And then what I did was I took just a piece. I mean, obviously you could put both leaves on here, but it gets a little bit busy. So instead, I'm going to cut this one, and then we're going to cut this one. So you could make two cards, right? You could use this for one, and then you can use this for the other. So you've got those two. Then I cut, this is from old. And then for this one, you could cut it in half instead of having a whole bar. And that's kind of cool how this fell out. It looks more realistic, like log. Unfortunately, I'm going to bury it unless maybe I put it this way so I can see it. Let's see. And then I've got these leaves also. And then I seem to have forgotten a piece of white. Oh, maybe I do have a piece of white. It fell out of my envelope. Or no, this was from when I stamped. Maybe I meant to do more than one on here. I'm not sure. All right, well, we will grab a piece of scrap here. And so for this one, I decided I didn't want them all to say "to a great guy," and there is a thank you, which I'm going to use, but I did pull out the happy birthday, which is from the banner sayings. So this one, again, could be used for a guy friend or a girlfriend. You could do a sympathy card. Oops. I've needed way too many of those this year in the last couple of years. Hopefully no more for a while. So I think I'll do that. So I just want at the bottom here, we'll put it on to our log. What looks like a log. Yeah, the banner punch is great. It's handy, it's quick, And all the sentiments, it has a lot of everything. Celebrate, thanks a million, you did it. So like, congratulations, I'm here for you. Wishing you good things. There's pretty much something for everything. So again, you can glue these, or I shouldn't say glue these down. I do not like using glue when it's open like this. So hang on, let me glue this part down since it wants to move. Okay, and then instead of using glue, I'm just going to use the Stamp and Seal. And if it's too wide and is hanging over, you can always fold it up onto the leaf, but just kind of figure out where you want it. And then this one I'm going to pop up with dimensionals. And we'll use the little ones. There. Oops. Yeah, it is a quick and easy sentiments. Kind of like making all those sentiments, like the one that, I can't remember which one you ended up buying, where you can make all those sentiments ahead of time and just have, I just have a container with a bunch of sentiments. So if I'm looking, I can just, and I have some that are gold, some that are silver, some that are, again, I'm going to be on either side of this, but I think this time I'm going to go on either end here because it should be okay. I guess I don't want to be too far over. And then we can just add our, so I punched out these leaves from the dies. Now, because my club people don't necessarily have the dies, I sent them just a square piece of Pretty Peacock because in one of our other months, they got the paper pumpkin dies and it had a leafy bunch. So I was gonna get them to, if they don't have this one, they can use the leaves, whatever leaves they have, but I did know that they had die cut leaves to use. Oh, you're gonna be on a guest. All right, okay, good. I was gonna ask you if we were getting together tomorrow because I think, I wasn't sure. And let me know what time to just text me, and yeah, I'm looking forward to a coloring date. All right. So then we'll put, I broke my rule. I put glue on, but I put very little. Maybe like this. And that is card number 2, only we can add some bling again. I think what I've realized is I'm a ribbon hoarder. I love ribbon, but I don't love ribbon on cards. I like the twine. Oh, jeez. These are so sharp, they just go through the plastic. I do like twine because it's lighter, but I just feel like the ribbon, it ends up being too bulky. I don't mind if it's like put behind something, but to put a bow on a card. So I guess I do. I can't say I don't want ribbon at all on my cards, but I realized I was using very little. I like to use them on albums and that kind of stuff, but yeah, I don't use it a lot on cards. So anyways, that is card number 2. Pretty easy peasy, especially when everything's already ready for you. It makes it quite quick to put things together. So I've got all these pieces left that I can make another card. All right, and then my last card. So most of the time, our third card is a fun fold card or a 3D project. Now, I almost made them. So we've got another piece of designer series paper. This is yet another another one of the pieces that's in the set. Yeah, this suite is very pretty. There's some nice masculine-ish or nature-ish sets coming out, even in the new catalog that I'm excited. A lot of it is not just flowers. I mean, there's still always lots of flowers. So for this one again, so there's 2 white pieces. One is slightly smaller and lighter. So this is basic white, this is thick basic white. So the standard size card base is gonna get, you can score it if you want to. I usually score the thick white, but if it's folding well for me, I don't bother. And then this one is going to get scored. So this one I do need to score. And you can either use your scoring tool or this one. And we are going to score it at 2, 4. Oh! Yeah, we're not going to do that. Oh dear, I just wasn't even, I'm just on autopilot, not thinking. Okay, we're going to try that again. Sorry. So it's 5 by, what is this? What did I say it was? 5 by 8. Ay, ay, ay. Okay, let's try this again. We're going to go 5. By 8. And I'm putting the cutting blade away. And then we're going to go 2, 4, and 6. Okay, so you've got those 3 score lines. Didn't cut anything. Woohoo! So I'm not going to put that far because I'm still going to need it. And I'm going to set these aside to start, and I'm going to deal with this piece first. Now we are going to blender brush and totally change the color of this piece of paper. But what I learned through trial and error is if you want to use the rub-ons, your paper needs to be dry and just a piece of paper. And it still might not like this designer series paper, but I kept inking I kept inking the paper before doing the rub-ons, and then the rub-ons were refusing to stick. So we're gonna try this with dry paper. We want this splatter kind of, so like I said, we're going to be using this leaf over top. So I want to kind of be able to see some of this splatter. So probably go up here. And we'll just stick it down like so, and we'll give it a good rub. And then, okay, cross your fingers. It's working. It's working. There's one that didn't come off. Let's just give it a bit more of a rub. Make sure they're all down. Okay, success. And then where the other leaf will be, let's maybe do this one. So these rub-ons come with gold and silver. I don't think they're in the new catalog, so they're probably going to be they'll probably be in the last chance items right away. They're currently in the annual catalog. They come in a pack with silver and gold. Okay, so we've got our nice shiny rub-ons here. Success. After no success. So I did it the first time, and then I decided I was going to do it ahead of time, and then I went to do it again, and I forgot. And so I dried, and I tried to use the embossing powder, but obviously that just makes it even harder for it to stick. So anyway, so now I'm going to blender brush on top, and I think this should stay down. And I'm going to use, what am I going to use? I'm going to use Summer Splash, Early Espresso, and Pecan Pie. And this is going to transform into a whole other look. Okay, here we go. And I'm just going to kind of randomly put some color down. Okay, and then we'll do some pecan pie. Then we'll come in with some, we don't want a lot of the early espresso because it's super dark. Just a little bit here and there. I should have closed the pecan pie, but I think I might go back and put a bit more pecan pie. But first, I'm going to add more of the Summer Splash. I'm making a mess of the glass here, but that's okay. That's what it's here for, as long as, and I'm not using, we're not going to see the other side, so it's okay if it kind of try and blend it all in. And then we'll take some more pecan pie this time. Okay. I think I'm happy with that. You can put your leaf background on if you want to check and see if you like what you've done. But you can see it doesn't look anything like how it started. What can you use if you don't have the rub-ons? You can use the stamp from the stamp set, because I'm pretty sure you've got that. So there's this one, and that's what I originally was wanting to use, but I knew people wouldn't have, most people. So yeah, I would use this, and I would just stamp it kind of randomly and use either some silver. I did another card with this suite, and I used the copper embossing powder, because then it's similar to the embellishments, whereas I'm not putting embellishments on this because I feel like it might look funny with the silver and the bronze. Look at my hands. Oh, I need a clean wipe. But yeah, I would use this, or if you have another stamp that has some texture and some embossing, metallic embossing powder, that's a good option to use. Just something, or you don't have to use anything. I mean, it's just, like for me, it was just a bit of added blingy background texture. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the back side of this. Make sure your workspace is clean, because it is a white piece that you don't want to get colors on. And we're going to glue this down, and you want to make sure you glue all those little bits down, because this is going to be the front of your card. So you don't want it to get snagged and pull up. And then you can just center it. Now I'm going to double check. I'm not sure if I've cut my designer series paper piece down to size at this point, because it seems big, but I think I went smaller on my inside piece because it was a little bit tight. That's what it was. I'm going to have to, Linda, I sent you the original measurements, I think, and I think I'm going to shrink them down, because you'll see my original was a little bit on the tight side of things. So you're going to fold one way, one the other way, and then again this way. So you're going to have like a U with a tail. Okay, you can just, so it almost, it folds inside one another, but you basically want a U with a tail. Then you're going to take your card base, make sure it's facing the right way. Yes, okay, so we're going to cut this down. So right now it is 4 by 5 1/4. So we're going to take it down to, if I do 1/8 of an inch on each side, then I'll take it down to 3 3/4 by, you might want to cut it before you put it on, because now it's looking a little crooked, but that's okay. Okay, so then it ends up being 5 by 3 3/4, which is still a wee bit tight. What did I do? Hang on, sorry. Designer series paper. I said 3.5 by 4 3/4. So we want to go down 1/8 again. Woohoo! Okay. I think I did give you the right measurements, Linda. I think maybe I had already changed them up. So if you don't like how you're not seeing much on the outside of this, you can cut down your white a little bit more so that you have more of the colored designer series paper showing. That is an option. So now, okay, we're down to 3.5 by 4 3/4. That's better. Yes, okay. Then we are going to take our front of the card. This is the scary part. And we're going to cut it just slightly with a larger area, because so right now, if we're at 3.5 and this is 4 1/4, if we cut it down, quarter would be half. If we do 3/8 of an inch around, so that much. This seems wrong to me. This is what happens when you change the size on the fly. So 4 1/4 divided, so you've got 3/4 divided by 2 would be 3/8, right? 1, 2, 3 should be. We're going to start with that because I definitely don't want to do it. I'd rather go have to keep cutting down than cut it too small. And then you want it 3/8 of an inch all the way around. So I'm just going to start it here. And I'm going to go up. And 1, 2, 3 there. Okay. And then we'll turn it. And we'll go to 3/8. And come down to there. And then this is going to be hard to see. So if we're at 4 1/4, we should be there. 3/8 would be there. And then 3/8 there to there. Okay, so we've cut out a frame, and if you've missed a little bit, you can just snip the rest with your scissors. Spoiler alert, it looks like they are coming out with new scissors. They won't be out with, well, maybe by the time it comes, I don't think it was. I was going to say maybe by the time it comes out live for customers, but I think it's still a little ways away. And then you're going to take your inside, and we're going to be sticking this top U shape to your card here, just on those points. And then it's going to come like so. Okay, so we're only gluing this portion here for now. So I think the easiest is to put the glue a very small line as close to the edge as I can. So it's not sticking out. But you want enough that it holds, because this is gonna kind of hold your card together. And then I'm gonna put it in against the edge here and try and line it up so that it's even. And stick it there. So it only goes to this first score line. Your glue is only from the score line to down to the end here and around. And I do have a bit of glue there, but that's okay. And then you want your card to be able to fold like so. So your easiest way to then get this piece in the right spot is to, so we're going to put, you've got this piece, and this piece, and on the back of it, you're going to put your glue. Okay, and then you're going to fold it over and down. And you're going to let that dry. And you can see it's already popping open like so. So it pops, and it won't open flat. It's not meant to. It's meant to kind of sit open like so. Okay, it doesn't look like much right now, but as soon as we add our front piece, it's gonna look great. I think I'm gonna just trim this a little bit. It's a little bit wide because you want it to be able to go in and out of the frame without catching. And if you're finding, so this is going to be free floating, and if you feel like you want it to have a bit more oomph to it, you can take your piece that you cut out and you can mount this on. But if you're going to mount this on, I would highly suggest you trim this down a wee bit to make sure that it's not catching when you open and close it. Okay, so when you've got that, you can glue that all together. This is where glue probably would have been the better choice. Oh, jeez, it just fell together perfectly. Okay. And then you're simply, or I guess I should stamp my sentiment before sticking that on there. And I probably should have stamped my sentiment here. I'm going to stamp the thank you with Pretty Peacock again. So you could make this happy birthday, you could make this thank you, whatever suits your fancy. Okay. And then, oh, before I close that, I like the You Make Me Smile for the inside part here. And so this is where you can write your message here. And then when you stick this down, you want to only stick it to the left of the score line. Or nope, I take that back. Opposite. You want to only stick it to the right of the score line so that it opens and closes to the right, like so. Now, you could add dimensionals, but I think it works better without. So again, to ensure that you're not going over, you could put the glue along here, but then you might get it on there. I'm just going to go on the back side of this, and I'm going to make sure I'm less than a half over. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to put my glue along this score line edge here and a little bit on here, so it's, I know I'm sticking it well. And then I'm going to come in with it closed so I know where to put it. And there's room all around. So I'm going to make sure that that gets glued down. And then you have a nice, slightly over the edge here. Keeps getting caught. Now, the last part you can add, if you want to get a little bit fancier even, you can add a piece of designer series paper here. So you would want to color it to match this one. And you would want it to be, so I should have done that ahead of time, but here I'll show you the finished one. This is just an add-on. So here I did the rub-ons again and a matching piece. And if you want to know, it'll be 2, so that's 2 inches. So it'll be 1 3/4 by, this is 5, so it'll be 4 3/4. 1 3/4 by 4 3/4 for this designer series paper. But yeah, that is the fun fold for this month. Not too complicated. The hardest part is cutting that frame out, but it works. Okay, so this is our third card. This is our second card and the first one. So that is our March Club cards. Hopefully it inspires you to pull out some designer series paper and play with it and add color to it to change it up a little bit. You can change its look. I actually, oh, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to show you. I was so proud. I get paper pumpkins and I have them stacked, and I've done, you know, a couple here and there, but I never tend to finish them. So I told myself I have to start finishing them. And I have a great friend, Marcy, who gets paper pumpkins religiously, and she does them. She finishes her paper pumpkins. She does not have a stack of boxes like I do. So once in a while, we'll be like, hey, so she's 2 hours time zone away from me. Luckily, she's a night owl. So it'll be earlier for me, super late for her. And we'd craft together, but she likes to go rogue, and I do too. I don't like to just do what the paper pumpkin says. So this month I was determined I was going to finish it, and we started together and I finished them after. But so first, this is the paper pumpkin for this month. I changed up the card paper, so that's why it gave me the idea of changing up the designer series paper. So this is what the paper pumpkin looked like for March. It had these cute hummingbirds. It always comes with, not always, but usually 9 cards, 9 envelopes. A lot of people cut up the envelopes, and that just kills me, especially now that envelope prices are going up, and they're always so pretty. Like, I don't want to wreck the envelope. So I made the 3 cards as designed, or almost as designed. So I only used 1 bird with the thank you, so that I had 2 extra birds left times 3. So that gives me 6 extra birds. And then on this one I did 2, and then on the rest I only did 1 because I thought about it after the fact. I'm like, But this month actually came with 2 stamp sets. and one of the stamp sets had the hummingbirds and the other one had sentiments and the flowers. Like all of this is stamped. It was actually a really fun paper pumpkin. So I did those 3. These are kind of the OGs. It comes with the embellishments. It comes with all the sentiments. Put it together, but I did cut, so I don't know if you can see, this is the paper that was, it was the full card. So usually the card comes printed on both sides. So I cut it in half. So that automatically doubles my possibilities. So then I went and made 3 packages of 5 cards each. And I'll show you this one. So I went with 3 colors, just the colors from the birds. One was Coastal Cabana, one was Gorgeous Grape, and this was the basic gray that the paper pumpkin came with. So I just packaged them into these acrylic boxes. I'm going to have them ready to give for a gift, hostess gift or whatever. Whenever I need a little gift, I've got it ready to go. So because it was the blue, I used the blue envelopes for this, but on these ones, I just went with white envelopes. And so I don't know if you can see, this is still the same card base, but I blender brushed it with Pool Party. And then first I embossed so the original we stamped with basic gray. And then for this one, I ended up just stamping Versamark and using white embossing powder. And the idea came from the beautiful envelopes. I'm like, hey, if I'm gonna do this, I gotta do this. You know, I don't want to wreck my envelopes, but I want the look. And then I have the texture of the card base, plus I have my flowers embossed with the white, and I just thought that was pretty. And then I still used the sentiments and the birds that I had left over to make 3. So it made 3 more, right? Because I could make 9 of these ones. Then I had extra birds. So I created one of each of these where they're kind of monochromatic, one in the blue, one in the purple, one in the gray. And then I did just a simple, so again, it still has that card base. And then I added a piece of Coastal Cabana in there. And then I still had enough birds and embellishments to finish off the cards. So it's 3 packages of color coordinated, and it has kind of all the greetings. It has birthday, it has anniversary, grateful for you, so for anything. This one has the Mother's Day, so Mother's Day is coming up, and thank you. So yeah, I was so proud of myself that I finished an entire box. I had one piece of, like, one topper of a card base left, and I used up all the embellishments. I used up all the birds. I actually had to stamp and color 1 or 2 birds, I can't remember. And then, yeah, I barely had anything left. So it's kind of cool it's a great feeling to finish. So now I have a whole bunch to finish. As I told myself, I'm not going to keep getting paper pumpkins if I'm not doing them. But yeah. So if you're ever on the fence about getting paper pumpkins, and I know even myself, I'm guilty of thinking, oh, it's just too impersonal. It's not something that I've created. You just slap it together. Kind of the same thing you think of with kits. It's like, oh, anyone can make that. Well, look how different they look. Like, yeah, they're kind of the same, but they're not the same. And there's some different ones in there. So why not, just have fun. And they're a great value, especially if you're a person that doesn't want to collect all the things. It comes with all the things. Obviously, I used embossing powder and some extra ink, but you don't have to have that to make all these cards. It just allows you to take it even further. But yeah, I had fun making these, and I just thought I would share them. And if you were ever on the fence about getting the paper pumpkin, getting a surprise every month, it is a fun one. Yeah, I actually, there was that hummingbird from a while ago. So there was a stamp from this one, but the hummingbird from the old stamp and die set, so there's actually a die that cuts it out. I can't remember which set the hummingbird is in. It's because I needed one this size, and I colored him with blends, and he's actually pretty close. It must be in this one. This one maybe. Yep. So it's facing the other way, but obviously my coloring isn't as good as theirs. But I tried. It's not bad. And then I didn't have enough beautifuls, so I have the You Are Loved. So, you know, like I made it work. And yeah. So anyways, that was just because I wanted complete sets that were all the same. Not that anyone would know what each one had, but that's just me. All right, well, hopefully you have a great rest of your week. And if you're interested in the paper pumpkin and you want to know more about it, you can always send me a message, or you can go on my store and you can subscribe there. Yeah, we'll see you next Wednesday. Have a great rest of your week. And if you're crafting, don't forget to post your... Oh, I just lost my my microphone. Post what you make. Tag me if you're posting it. If you're not, you can always send me a picture or put it in the comments. Don't forget to like and share the video if you have enjoyed this. I would really appreciate it. I appreciate you even taking the time to watch my videos and to join in and chat while I'm crafting. All right, thanks again. We'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.